sometimes people end up like going back into the workforce because they can't find that fulfillment. But definitely, like, this is not what I thought that retirement was going to be like. It's not what I imagined, because we basically stereotypically just imagine like the vacation, but
Sure.
the eternal vacation, like that relief, the honeymoon period goes away.
Yeah.
And, we're designed to grow and do more and explore and expand.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Matt Helton, your local reverse mortgage expert, and you found the Serving Senior podcast, where I highlight those businesses and individuals that help seniors not just get by, not just survive, but thrive in retirement. And today we have another one of those awesome people. We have Miss Cyn Meyer, and she's the founder of the Second Wind Movement. And she's going to share with us what that is, how it works, and how it serves seniors in their retirement. Cyn, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for reaching out, and I'm so glad to be able to share your story, what you do, and how you do it. So please feel free to expound as much as you want or as little. This is your open forum,
Okay.
okay?
Nice, nice.
Well,
Um,
first of all, I was going to ask you, a lot of people like to kind of hear some background, maybe your journey and where you're from, what you've done, how you got into this. So maybe share a little bit of your background and your story if you could.
okay, awesome. I have always wanted to work with this audience of older adults. So I grew up playing music in retirement homes. So I saw early on what happens with a sedentary lifestyle. And
Okay.
then both my grandparents passed with Alzheimer's. And then in 2011, my dad had brain surgery and 38 rounds of radiation. So I really dove deep into neuroscience.
Wow.
And I coupled that with life coaching.
Okay.
So I was reeling off of a 20-year career as a marketing director across so many different industries. And one of them was financial advisors.
Oh,
And so
wow.
the audience was people who were retiring.
Hmm.
And I saw firsthand people with big nest eggs just going through their retirement honeymoon period super short, right? So they were losing purpose, losing energy, right? And becoming sedentary, falling into these traps. And so I was very much like a passion project that I started in the background. I got certified as a life coach, and then I married that with the neuroscience that I was just personally interested in. And then I created my program called Rewire My Retirement,
Okay.
and started, and it kind of flourished from there. And then so I launched Second Wind Movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. Which maybe what are a couple pieces you pulled from your previous careers that you've put into Second Wind Movement, and how that prepare you for what you're doing today?
The previous career aspect of what I pulled in today is basically just the customer, the person who wants the help, right? It's basically what are the problems and how do we solve them?
Mm.
And so I found that while working in the financial advisors industry, that when you look up retirement planning, it's 99% financial planning.
Mm.
And so, what about all the other invisible factors that we as a society do not dig into? And so, that's what Second Wind Movement and
Okay.
my program solely focuses on. So, it's all the
Got it.
purpose, passion, health, mental health, emotional health, and physical health, right? All these things and community and relationships. And so I have a framework called the 5 rings of retirement. And so we
Okay.
dig into those categories, but finance is only one of them, with the sole purpose of fueling your life and all the other colorful, more rich, meaningful experiences in
That's
life.
so cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a great passion. It sounds like from the way you talk about it, it helps you get up in the morning excited to go solve these problems for people.
Yes, I always say I would do this for free. And I did start it for free in the
I'm sure
background
you
of the
did.
marketing group.
Yeah.
Yeah, for many years. And it just grew from there. But yeah, I'm very passionate about kind of flipping that stereotype on its head, where getting older and retirement is not about winding down into a life of leisure
Mhm.
only. It's the beginning of a big growth journey, a big swell. There are several decades ahead of you, and it's time to grow, evolve, change, develop indefinitely. Your brain is
Wow.
made that way to
Okay.
create new neural pathways in your brain for the rest of your life until the day you die. And so it's time to leverage that and really start to evolve
That's so
into all
cool.
these growth experiences. Yeah.
That's great. And that solves that big problem that you see, right? Where you see that someone they'll work their whole life, they'll retire. I always say if they don't have a hobby, comma, that takes a lot of time, like golf, fishing, hunting, or lots of grandkids, sometimes that helps, right? If they don't have any of those, a lot of them will retire and pass away because they lose purpose and traction. It sounds like you solved that problem by helping them find other missions and uncovering purpose and passion.
Exactly. And it's different for each person, right? So the answers I always say will never be on the outside. It's not what your spouse thinks you should do, what's traditionally stereotypical or popular, right? Or what other retirees are doing, right? The answers will always be intrinsically motivated from the inside. And so we're not conditioned to look for those answers from within. We're used to go, career, achieve, accomplish for our careers, our families, right? All these external motivators. So it's very much a rewiring situation to go inward for the answers. And then that unlocks the clarity. And that is so unique from person to person to person to person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like really a deep understanding of life coaching that's helping you unlock who they are and getting to know that. So you get to know them really well so they can get to know their self, it sounds like.
Exactly. Yes. I'm like the vehicle or the vessel, and then they channel within, and then that unlocks everything from the reticular activating system in your brain. And those are where the new trajectories take place. Your brain keeps seeking like more and more answers that are like aligned and authentically unique to you.
Okay. Wow. That's deep.
It is. And I want to surface
important.
all the deep stuff, right? Because we all just kind of get by, as your mission, right? Just, it's not just about surviving. We want to thrive. And so you got to get deeper into that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Well, maybe if you could give us a little detail on, I like to ask you, what are some of your superpowers or some of your qualities that helps you really get to the nitty gritty with these seniors, that helps them expand? What about Cyn helps you do this and do it so well?
So my personal calling is the life coaching. So in session, there are private one-on-one coaching sessions. I help unblock. I do this all day, every day. So I see trajectories, I see the person. And then in my program, they're submitting the daily prompts to me. So it's very systematic. It's a 3-month program. And so they're submitting the prompt answers to me personally. And so that makes the sessions that much more productive. So I always say the magic happens in the coaching sessions, and I will never go to like a group coaching setting because it's kind of like counseling or therapy where there's just so much value in like the individual personal look. Yeah. And unblocking. So that coupled with the system. So there is like the self-study system as well for people who don't need or want the deep coaching. Some people are more stuck than others. Some people want further growth than others. Depends on the person. But the system is available with the coaching or without. And that is very much like a daily neuroplasticity hit for 3 months to gain the clarity first. Yeah. And then do the outer work. So you go inner work first and then outer work once you have the clarity.
That's awesome. So it sounds, a superpower of yours may be taking the complex, it sounds like, and making it simple and implementable, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people would love to do this on their own. They don't want to tell you all their deepest, darkest secrets, but they've tried it that way for 50 or 60 years. Probably hadn't worked what they wanted. So now it's like, all right, let's try it with Cyn, and you can unlock all that and make it simple for them.
Yes. Streamlining, keeping it simple is key. It's just consistency so that you keep prodding your brain in the RAS, and that unlocks the clarity, and then that builds the momentum. So consistency and momentum are huge, and just keeping it simple. You don't want to get in your own way. So often we do the second guessing, the self-doubt, trying to hypothesize or waffle between, should I do this? Should I do that? Right? Like we get in our own way with all this conditioning, and we have to go, we're supposed to be achieving, we should be doing this, but I want to be doing this, but I don't know really what I want to be doing. Right. So it's clarity, simplicity, consistency, and then that momentum.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you run across a lot of people that maybe they're retired, but they're almost disappointed? Like they're not where they wanted to be at this point. And, a lot of it is just, I wish, and they're reliving the last 60 years instead of figuring out how to win in the next 20 or 30 years.
Yes. Unfortunately, I run into that a lot, which is why people seek help. Yes. And so they're kind of in a rut. I call it a retirement rut. And so the way that your brain works, it's kind of routing in the, I should be doing this. I'm used to accomplishing. I have all the clear steps ahead of me. I'm just, I need to be making money or working or helping others in this specific way versus going inward and growing and evolving. And so sometimes people end up like going back into the workforce because they can't find that fulfillment. But definitely, like, this is not what I thought that retirement was going to be like. It's not what I imagined, because we basically stereotypically just imagine like the vacation, but the eternal vacation, like that relief, the honeymoon period goes away.
Yeah.
And, we're designed to grow and do more and explore and expand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the average person spends 5, 10, 15,000 on a vacation, right? So most people's nest egg is not going to last very long if they spend 15,000 a week, right? To have that kind of experience. But unfortunately, I found that we always fantasize on what we're not doing, right? So people are always, I can't wait till retirement. Fantasizing about retirement, and then you get there, then I literally talk to people daily basis. They're fantasizing, I wish I could get back and get something done, get to work, right? And they can never be happy where they are. There's a guy, he wrote a book. I don't know if you've ever read it, called his name's Hal Elrod. You ever read those?
Hal Elrod.
It's called The Miracle Morning.
Miracle Morning, I know.
And he's one of his affirmations is, I have everything I need to be as happy as I can be in my current situation. Right? It's not like I need this, or I need that, which sounds like what you're doing with people. You're teaching them, hey, you've got everything you need. Let me just show you. It's all in there, and you're trying to unlock it for them.
Exactly. You're trying to tap into it. Yes. Yeah. So much of the time we can get into that lack mindset instead of like the abundant and focusing on what we do have. But you do bring up a good point too, where when we're working, what I typically see is like, I'll do that when. I'll do that when I have the time. I'll do that when I retire, right? And so when the time comes, then it's not happening because we think and we assume that that's what we want, right? But it's like, again, that lack, which is not really what we want. And so a lot of the time I'll hear, I used to be into this hobby or passion or this type of work, and then I'm burnt out on it, or it's just not doing it for me anymore. And that's because we didn't take the deeper look. We just kind of punted it, right? And it's really what we want to do is something new or different, or like, a different angle and more substance to it, or a combination, or the format's going to change, right? Yeah.
Makes sense. That's fantastic. Well, Cyn, maybe you could give us an example or two of, someone you met, what their situation was like when you first met them, and how you're able to walk them through this journey, and then how they're doing today.
Yes. So as I mentioned, it's a very unique result for each person. The system is very common and systematic. So most people are just stuck. They're not feeling like themselves. They're lacking motivation, lacking energy, and they're procrastinating, right? And so when those symptoms appear, we're lacking the clarity. And so when you go through this process of gaining clarity from within, and you're doing it in a consistent manner, so like no stone is left unturned, and all these things are surfacing that you hadn't had the pathway to surface, or when they're released, it's go time. The energy comes back, the motivation is there, procrastination just falls to the wayside. These are the side effects that kind of slide off. And the results are different for each person. And it's so beautiful to see like all these different growth paths and the formats they take on. But they will be like climbing mountains, teaching fitness classes, writing a book, being the best patriarch to a family of 22 grandchildren, reconnecting with, people, expanding friendships, finding love again. It's very individual, or exploring poetry and all these different creative expressions, music, right? Or starting a chapter and being business oriented and having the, it's so powerful because it's very individual, and that has a ripple effect. Like, not only are they more satisfied in their own life, but they're influencing and motivating and changing others to do the same.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Any stories of individual client you'd want to highlight? Not their name or anything, but just like a specific scenario.
So there's a couple that come to mind. One would be someone who overcame a lot of physical ailments, including cancer and some pretty bad falls, and even TIA, so mini strokes, and was still able to do this process and endure and overcome those. And so the growth journey is kind of like this, right? The trajectory is upward, and climb mountains again, which is like completely unheard of.
Wow.
So that's one that's pretty inspiring. Another is someone who lost a spouse of 46 years of marriage, and then not only had to, work through and navigate grief, but really like hardcore grow and get to know herself inward, and then have these amazing creative expressions come out of it. Wow. So photography and poetry. Yeah. And kind of use the spouse as a muse.
That's awesome.
Even beyond life. Yeah.
So that's so cool. So like from stuck in the grief and all that to now being creative and unstuck, huh?
Yes. And using it as a muse. Yes. And growing. Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, there's a lot of people out there in those situations, and a lot of people that aren't retired, right, in those situations. But it's so cool that you're focusing on those because, if you're stuck, like if you're stuck in your 30 or 40, right, at least you can hold on to, hey, I'll do that when, right? But if you're stuck at 60 or 70, right, you really can't say when because you don't even know if you're waking up the next day, right? So it's so awesome that you're really diving into this community because you're giving them hope, and then they can go do something great tomorrow because that's all they've got, right? If you're 75, you don't know how many tomorrows you have. So it's great that you're really helping this community that really needs it. So I applaud you for that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, maybe, Cyn, could you share with us some resources that you recommend? I know you have some great programs. It sounds like, is there people that reach out to you that maybe aren't ready to do your program? Is there anything that you send them to or have them check out, other things you have them read?
Yes. So I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos that covers all of these content pieces, like within the 5 Rings of Retirement, and then articles at my website. So a big blog with hundreds of articles as well, if you prefer to read, and then a masterclass. So if you head to secondwindmovement.com, you'll see in the top right corner, there's a masterclass that helps you. And it's called How to Turn a Successful Career into a Successful Retirement.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And then I have a book where I share the Rewire Retirement Method in that book.
Okay.
If you want to dig into that on your own and see what that's all about. But basically, everything that I publish is researched and relevant to the experiences that I've had with individual clients throughout the past 8-9 years. And every piece of content across all 5 Rings of Retirement, the sole purpose, doesn't matter if it's a workbook, a video, or the full program, the sole purpose is all with the one goal of having, the person grow and really get to the core of who they are and what they want, the deeper desires and dreams. Yeah.
That's great.
Unlocking that.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. And thank you for building all this out for this, population and community that really needs it.
Yes. It is.
It's a lot.
My passion.
Yes, it is. I can tell. So could you share how, we'll be able to put it in the notes too, but share how people would connect with you, how they would find the resources?
Yes, secondwindmovement.com is the website. The masterclass is in the corner. And then YouTube, you can just look up Second Wind Movement. And that's it. If you want to email me directly, you can email me at Cynthia at secondwindmovement.com, and I'll personally respond.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
No, but I will leave a comment that you're never too old or too young to get into this type of growth and really unlock that trajectory for yourself. So do it.
That's awesome. That's great. Maybe you could share too what you've noticed. How does finances play into retirement? Because as you know, money isn't everything. Money isn't the root of all evils. Sometimes it's the lack of money causes people to do evil things, if that makes sense, or have bad thoughts. So I was just going to ask you, what have you seen? How does money play into retirement and how people feel and things like that?
So there's different angles that money falls for people. So it could be scarcity and the fear, right? And so that fuels the fear of the unknown. And then so people end up in that retirement rut where they're like, I'm doing things because I should, or I have to, or right. And so there's like lack of options in that lack mindset. Yeah. Right. Or the other end is like, you have enough, you have more than enough. Right. But you still are in that same cycle of, I should be doing this, instead of what I truly want. And I always say money is one of the 5 rings of retirement, and the sole purpose is to fuel your life in all the other 4 more colorful, meaningful areas of life and retirement in general. And you can uncover passion, paid work that really energizes you. You're helping a specific audience that you care about, and you're getting paid for it. That is a possibility. Absolutely. Happens all the time. Wow. So there are options out there. Yeah. It's worth exploring. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, and that's why we love what we do, because we see that people quite often that'll have, maybe they want to have passion, they want to have excitement, but there's something holding them down or something. And I call it the financial monkey is on their back, and it's a big monkey for some of them. And they failed at investments. They think they failed at jobs. They failed at saving. They should have saved more. They have all these they should all over themselves, if you know what I mean, right? They should. So, so we just try to make people feel good, whether they've got a lot or a little. Sometimes they'll say, I haven't invested very well. I haven't said, well, tell me about your house. And they'll say, well, I bought it, 30 years ago. I said, how much did you pay? And it'll be something crazy. I paid $100,000. Like, all right, what's it worth now? They're like, well, it's worth like, I don't know, nothing crazy, 550, 600. I said, what did you say? You paid 100 and it's worth 6? Said, so you're a little bit better at investing than you're giving your credit for. That was a pretty good investment. Now, you probably should have bought every house on the street, right? But hey, we didn't know. So you did good on the one you bought. And then that's where we kick in, is we're just able to show them, hey, what if you could use a little bit of that equity to make your life a little bit better? You've made all this over time. And then that's where we show them how they can effectively, efficiently, ethically use a little bit of equity to make their life a little bit better. Take that monkey off. So
you're flipping the stereotype, and what you normally think is the only option. There are other options. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. They still own their house. They can sell their house whenever they want. All that reverse mortgage problems from the past, it's all been fixed, right? They still own their house. They can sell it whenever they want. They can pass the home on to the kids if they want. They can do everything they want with it. It's just they could get a little bit of money to use, but not be tied to a huge monthly payment. The payment is optional. So they can send in a payment. Most people don't, because they're on a fixed income in retirement, and they're able to get their hands on some money, but not be stuck with a huge payment.
Got it.
So it just gives them some flexibility. So that one of those five pillars is where we chime in. And that's why we have you on here, so you can really go deep on all of them and help them with all 5 pillars. So I appreciate you coming up with this strategy, these ideas, and thank you for having a heart for serving seniors.
Yes, same to you. I'm glad we connected.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So we'll get your contact information out there. And thanks again for visiting with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for watching the Serving Senior podcast, where we highlight these fantastic people like Cyn that help seniors thrive in retirement. Thanks again. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Hey, this is Matt Helton with OneTrust Home Loans, home of retirement mortgage solutions. And we really do appreciate you checking out the Serving Seniors podcast today. Now, please go to the description down in the body of the podcast where you can subscribe to get future shows. Please click that notification button so you get notified when other shows drop. And also, if you can go to servingseniourspodcast.com, and we'd love to hear a comment about our show. We have a heart to serve seniors, and we have a heart to make sure seniors don't just survive retirement, don't just get by in retirement. We want to show seniors how to thrive in retirement. So if you know of anyone that's 55 and older that could use some extra cash flow, maybe the retirement's not going the way that they like, our retirement mortgage solutions are designed for folks, and depending on the state, they're either 55 or 62 and older, to make sure that they have that kind of retirement that they want. As long as they own a home and they're in a good equity position, there could be some solutions that they may not have thought about, or maybe they've thought of and they just didn't know how they work. That's what we do. So anyone in that age group that could use some mortgage advice, my team and I would love to be able to help them. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you on the next show. Have a great day.